Welcome to today's eLotus webinar, your leading source for acupuncture continuing education. I'm Donna Chow, your host for today's class. Today's webinar is Launch Your Community Acupuncture Clinic, a 30-day roadmap, sponsored by Evergreen Herbs and presented by Dr. Michelle Hamilton. Class will run from 9 to 1 p.m. Pacific time, and we will have one short break. Before we get started, let's ensure an interactive session by first setting your chat preference to everyone. For instructor questions, please use the Q&A box. Our speaker, Dr. Michelle Hamilton, is a seasoned licensed acupuncturist, educator, and coach, boasting over 2 decades of experience in the wellness industry with a dedicated focus on acupuncture for the past 13 years. Transitioning from traditional one-on-one clinics, she pioneered a hybrid community acupuncture model at the Zen Den 6 years ago. The success of this transformation is evident as her clinic secured the prestigious #1 acupuncture clinic title for 4 consecutive years, from 2020 to 2023, among other accolades, something she will share with us today. So let's go ahead and welcome Dr. Hamilton and dive into today's webinar.
Okay, we're good, right?
Yes, perfect.
Thanks, Sam. Okay, so once again, here's our overview. So we're gonna get into my story. We're gonna talk about I didn't start as a community acupuncturist. I started as a one-on-one traditional practice. I fell in love with the model, and this is I'm going to share how I got into it because I'm sure a lot of you can relate, and a lot of my fears and concerns about getting into community acupuncture, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. And so this course is really about addressing all of those and empowering you to create the clinic that you want, I think one of the biggest things I've learned along my journey is you can do whatever you want, as long as it's within your scope of practice, right? But if you feel inspired to create a community clinic, you should do that. If you feel inspired to just see one person for 2 hours a day and charge more, you should do that. You should do whatever it is that you feel inspired to do as a provider, as a healer, as an acupuncturist. I don't know about you, but I see us as healing vessels. And I've always seen myself as somebody or something or whatever I am that is just receiving downloads and inspiration because I've chosen this path. I've chosen the healer's path. I've chosen that I'm here to serve. I'm here to help. I'm here to spread light. However that looks, that may look like opening up a community clinic. It may be teaching other people to do that. I just really feel like it's a beautiful career choice that we've chosen because we ultimately get to change and grow as we change and grow our practice. And we're responding, or at least I can speak for me, I'm responding to the prompts and the shoulder taps that I'm getting from the collective of what they need. And when you set the intention to open yourself up to that, you're going to get so many ideas and so much inspiration on how to serve the community that you're here to serve. It's a business, of course, but it's so much more than that. It's an energy exchange, and it's an agreement that you make with the world to help elevate our vibration, our consciousness, help evolve the world. And so I feel so blessed that I get to be on this path, and I'm excited to share it with y'all. So we're going to talk about, what is community acupuncture? What does that even mean? How to scale with community acupuncture, which is something that isn't commonly talked about, but I love to talk about it because the more successful we can be, the better for our field, the better for our community that we're serving. Talking about making an income and making good money with community acupuncture isn't usually talked about, and I don't have a problem with it. I want acupuncturists to be successful. I want us to make a good living. There's nothing wrong with wanting to buy your kid new shoes or to buy a home or, God forbid, ever retire. You can have those things and you can make your services accessible and affordable. And that's what this class is about. We're going to talk about, what you need to get started, right? Like down to the basics. And I take you step by step through that. When I started my clinic, there, besides POCA, there wasn't a whole lot of hand-holding through the process. It was a lot of trial and error, figure it out, see what works, see what doesn't work, get feedback from patients, ask them, how was your experience? What can I do to improve? And from that, I've really created a system that is amazing. It serves over 150 people a week. I've got other providers. I have 2 other acupuncturists working in the clinic. I have a massage therapist. I have a full team with that united purpose of making acupuncture accessible and affordable. And I've created a framework in a clinic where I can step away and it's still generating revenue, and I can teach a class. I can go on a vacation. I can, hang out with my daughter, do things that pull me away from the clinic while still generating revenue, which is important. I think one of the things we all want is freedom, right? And so setting up a groundwork and a framework and a clinic that allows you to do that is essential. So we're going to talk about pricing strategies as well. I have really unique pricing strategies. I do obviously the sliding scale. Also, I have memberships as well, which makes it really unique. And I'm going to talk you through all of that. I'm going to talk about ways to infuse community acupuncture in your community. So what that means is you don't need a brick and mortar location. You can go out and do community acupuncture in a yoga studio. You can do it at a gym. I've gone to like corporate events and done community acupuncture on the floor, people laying in yoga mats, right? Our medicine is really portable, and people love receiving it and being exposed to it in different locations. Also we're going to do a bit of a workshop and Q&A. I've got a lot of free time scheduled in here so that we can kind of do some group coaching. You guys can ask me some questions. I'm here to serve you and make this as beneficial for you and your time, because I know all of our time is really valuable. So, okay. Who the heck am I? Okay. Like I said, I'm Dr. Michelle Hamilton. I'm an acupuncturist, I'm an educator, and I'm a coach. I have an online school called Community Acupuncture School. I'm also the founder of Lunar Acupuncture, which is a set point protocol that I use around the lunar cycles. So if you're into astrology and acupuncture, you should really check that out. All of my courses are on my website, drmichellehamilton.com. I'm also very active on Instagram, and I've got a ton of free resources on Instagram, on my Instagram page, Dr._Michelle Hamilton. You go on there, I've got my point prescriptions, I've got my full moon guide. I love to just give away a lot of free resources, so go on there and check it out, or follow me, because all my offerings are always posted on there. My background, I actually have a bachelor's degree in literature from Cal Poly. When I started out, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. I love to read and I love to write. So that was the direction that I went. And then it was while I was in college that I got introduced to acupuncture. You'll hear more about that story when we listen to the podcast, so I'll spare you hearing it twice. I went to Emperor's College, Santa Monica, California, where I graduated in 2010. I've been practicing ever since, no breaks. And then I got to the doctorate program at not Pacifica, that's like a psychology program, that's a type of Pacific College. I'm the founder of Zenden, which is the clinic that I have in town. It's a hybrid acupuncture clinic and healing center. We offer community acupuncture 6 days a week, and that's sliding scale and membership based. We also have 2 private rooms where we do private sessions, cupping, massage, and then a full herbal pharmacy. I'll show you some pictures of my clinic later. It's really like been the biggest creative expression of my life, and a canvas where I get to explore all of the creative offerings that I have. I was voted #1 acupuncturist in the county that I live in from 2021 to today. Hopefully we'll keep that going. The other day I was talking to someone, I'm like, I'm going to be really sad the day that I don't win that, because they vote every year. But fingers crossed. But it is cool. I don't know if your guys' where you guys live, if they do that, but they do like a best of every year where everybody votes on the best CPA, the best dentist, the best this, the best that. So it's kind of like a cool guide. Like if I was moving to town, I would get that guide and be like, hey, these are my people, you know? But it's always so cool to win an award, because what we do, we don't win awards, really. I mean, we have the one-on-one satisfaction of treating a patient and them responding well or healing, or they give you a good review maybe, but to win an award is really cool. So I'm proud of that. I've got 2 kiddos, 10 and 13, which I absolutely love. They are my why. That's why I do all of this. They inspire me and they're amazing. My background, I have quite an extensive athletic background. I was a competitive marathon runner and ultra trail runner for over 20 years, won a couple marathons, done Boston Marathon, and then I went on and I did, got into ultras. So it was like 100-mile races, 50-mile races, and I was quite competitive in my 30s. I still run now, but I'm not as competitive, nor do I try to compete. But that is definitely a passion of mine. I love being in nature. I love running in nature. I feel like a lot of the inspiration I get is from trees, honestly. Like I feel inspired by plants. When I'm out in nature, I feel like I can exhale my problems and I inhale inspiration and creative ideas. It's an awesome practice. So yeah, community acupuncture school and the lunar acupuncture method are 2 of my babies that I'm always working on. So go ahead and check that out. Okay. So I want to talk about where I started. That's not me. Like, wow, had some surgeries, now got a wig. No, that is my my assistant that I had at the time. But this is where I started my community clinic, okay? And I'm sharing this to like inspire you guys, you know, because I think we get so fixated on like the end goal and it's so overwhelming, or I don't have a business, like I don't have a line of credit, I don't have investors, how am I going to do this? Start where you are, you know, and slowly build from there. As you gain a following and you get more confidence and you get more revenue, you can build, okay? So this was 2017, 2016, around there, 2018, somewhere in there. And I'm practicing, we'll get more into that later, but I want to show you where I ended up. This is my clinic now, okay? So what is that? 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 6 years, okay? You guys can totally do this. And I've been at this location for 4. So within 2 years, I went from on a patio to a full-blown hybrid clinic like this, treating over 150 people a week. The demand is there, 100%. You just have to create the container and get the word out and do a good job and people will come, okay? So this is how I started. Like I was saying earlier, just one-on-one. That's how we were taught in school. And we'll talk more about this in the podcast, but more of that. There's my first treatment room. That's baby me. So cute. And then I got inspired to open a community acupuncture clinic. I was feeling really limited in my practice. I was full, but people couldn't get in for like 2 weeks out, right? So, and the people that I was treating, they were pretty routine wellness patients who were coming once a month, once every 2 weeks, just, you know, to balance their chi, for to boost their immune function, to help with stress. You know, I wasn't seeing like the things that I was really excited about treating. I wasn't seeing acute conditions because people couldn't get in. I wasn't treating the easy things that I knew could respond really well, like tendinitis, right? Or sinitis, or colds and flus, or someone threw their back out today. Like I knew I had techniques that I knew could really help these people, and they weren't coming in. And they weren't coming in because they either couldn't get an appointment, or most importantly, they couldn't afford it, right? The medicine that we do, it is meant, as far as our treatment plans, we are meant to treat people more than once a month, more than once a week, really. I like to see people 2 or 3 times a week. Like if that is how you're going to get effective results. A lot of the clinical trials, they show 12 visits. Okay. The studies that they're doing, it's 2 visits, 3 visits a week. So why aren't we, if we know that that's true, we know acupuncture is effective when we see people 2 or 3 times a week, why aren't we practicing that way? Right? Is it we're afraid to charge people? Because what, a private session is $125, let's say, and I'm afraid to tell someone that they need to spend, $400 a week on acupuncture. I'm afraid to tell them that, right? Or they can't afford it, right? I was seeing a lot of people that could maybe come for 1 or 2 sessions. That's what they could afford. And they would kind of come and try it out. And then they would just fall off my schedule. And I'm sure, I know you guys experience this too. Have you called those people is a question of mine. Have you called those people and said, hey, what's up? What happened? I used to tell myself, because I was shy and I'm an introvert, I'd be like, oh, they just got better. I fixed them after 1 or 2 visits. No, you didn't. Probably not. I mean, sometimes, yes, but a lot of the times, no. So I started calling these people. I'd get some, I would get some courage and call them and be like, hey, what happened? Where'd you go? What's going on? What's blocking you from, I gave you a treatment plan. Why are you not finishing it? Right. And what they said was that they couldn't afford it. They couldn't get in for an appointment time that would work for them. They work until 5. They couldn't get out of work. And there's 1 slot at 5 o'clock or 5:15, and it was already taken. So there goes their treatment plan, right? So right there, I got information. I said, okay, if I want to serve this community, if I want to serve more people, we need to make more appointment times. How do I do that? And we need to make it more affordable, right? Because you need to look at it from the patient's perspective too. It's like, if you're going to ask someone to do 12 visits, let's say, and they're $100 a visit, that's really affordable where I'm from. So that's $1,200. Okay. Let's say they have so they come in, they have tendonitis, their elbow hurts. And they come in and you say, okay, studies show 12 visits is what's going to turn this around. That's what I'm recommending. Okay. And so that's $1,200, right? For somebody like me, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not playing tennis, I'm not lifting weights. I don't really it's not that bad. It's bothersome, but not that bad. It's not a $1,200 problem to me. I'd rather spend $1,200 on something that is a $1,200 problem to me. Like if my car is broken, that's a $1,200 problem. I need that fixed, right? So if you can change that price point to match the level of desire they have to fix the problem, they will follow through with their treatment plan. And that's revenue that you're going to capture. Let's say you charge $20 a visit instead. Okay. So that's $240 for them to start to finish 12 visits. This is a $240 problem for me. I'd be happy to pay that. Right. So what you're doing is you're creating a way to capture these patients that are normally falling through the cracks. They come in, they get treated. They see that acupuncture works too. They see that, oh, I got visited for 12 visits and this works. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to say, well, what else you got? Right? That's how you scale. And we'll get more into that later. It's about building trust. It's about educating the public about acupuncture and how it works. Okay. So let's talk about this. So these were my 2 biggest hangups about community. And I would love to hear your hangups as well. If you guys want to go in the chat box, these were my 2 biggest concerns before I got into community acupuncture. Number 1, how can I make a good living doing this? It's great to serve the community. If it was up to me, I would treat people for free. I love doing it so much. but I have to buy food. I'm a single mom. I need to save for whatever. We all have expenses, right? So how can I do this and make a living? And then number two was, how can I be effective if I'm shortening my intake, if I'm seeing multiple patients in 15 minutes? How can I really be effective with that short amount of time? Okay. I'm going to open the chat. Do you guys have other hangups or questions? Okay. Scaling info would be great. Yes, I've got a whole, is that a chapter on a presentation? I don't know what we call them, a segment on scaling. I did a whole presentation on it. I love scaling, so we're going to talk about that. I worry that it's draining to treat so many patients in a day / make a good living from it. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that fear. I initially was not afraid of that, but I am an introvert. And that is one of the things that we're going to talk about in the podcast. Mainly, I go into that, like how seeing a high volume of patients is actually serves the introvert. What? That makes no sense, but it does. We'll get into that more, and I'll talk about that. Seems like it'd be draining to see so many people. Yes, I can see that. I mean, a lot of you guys think it would be draining because you are used to the one-on-one model. Yeah, you know, sometimes I'll see like 40, 50 people a day. If I was doing 40 or 50 one-on-one private sessions a day, that's really rough. Like, I don't want that for anybody. The energy exchange in a community clinic is very different than the one-on-one model. A lot of the patients that are coming to see me are repeat. We're already established. The check-in is like, hey, how you doing? Did that improve? How'd you do after your last visit? You know, anything new to tell me? Nope. Okay, let's go. And then the needles go in. Okay. It's not this hour and a half drawn out thing. You know, it's more routine. It's about getting the treatment. It's less about holding space, having a therapy session, all of those things. How do I talk about sensitive issues in the room with others in the room? I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, how do you talk about sensitive issues, or how do they? Because ultimately, I feel like you can't treat everything in community acupuncture. There's certain issues that people will come in and they obviously see that there is a crowd of people, and anything that you have to say is going to be heard by anybody, right? That's common knowledge. So that right there really trims down the intake too. People aren't going to be gossiping. People aren't going to be talking about things that they don't want to share. There's a lot less sharing of traumatic experiences or trauma. But that being said, ultimately, that's why I like the hybrid model. And I know this class isn't about the hybrid model, but I'm a big fan of it, because if those issues do come up, I can say, you know what? I really want to help you with this, and I want to go deeper, and it's going to require a private session. So how about we schedule you for a private session and I can see you XYZ, right? Beyond that, yeah, you are limited, you know, like I don't ask questions about really sensitive subjects, like fertility and things like that. I do treat a lot of fertility patients in the community clinic because they come in first for their private and they get established. And then moving forward, it's mainly about regulating the menstrual cycle. So when they do come in for community, it's like, where are you at on your cycle? Anything you need to report? Boom, then we're going into your treatment. You know, how you doing on the herbs? Good. That's it. And really, like, that's, unless they're doing like IVF or anything really changed, that's really how the fertility visits go once you're established. So it's great for that. Okay. It's hard to find other acupuncturists available in our area to help. We'll reach out. What area are you in, Patrick? Maybe there's someone here right now. But yeah, it's hard. We're hard to find. It's hard to hire acupuncturists. There's not many of us, but it's a growing field, and maybe you have to look outside your area. You know, I got my recent acupuncturist posting in LA. I posted on Emperor's website or their alumni website, and I got someone from LA, and they now work at my clinic. So go outside the area. Maybe you live in a highly desired area and somebody wants to live there. let's see. Do you accept insurance or just cash? For community acupuncture, just cash. It's already affordable. It's the cost of most people's copays, and I'm not doing insurance billing. It's just, it doesn't make sense, honestly. So, okay, everyone, update your chat preferences to everyone. In New Jersey, all patients need intake eval. Was thinking that would take time for a group. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, what they do, if they want to do a more thorough intake than their initial appointment, you know, sometimes it's $15 more and you spend more time to do an evaluation if that is required in your area. So maybe do that for new patients. And then after that, you know, it's a routine community clinic. Plus would miss therapeutic talking time. Okay. Time management. Yeah, that is a big one for sure. But I've got some tips on that as well. Privacy, confidentiality. Yeah, I mean, it's community. You're not gonna have privacy. That's just what it is. I mean, you can't meet every need in community, right? You don't get to have all, you know, the $30 price point and have privacy and confidentiality and all those things. That's for a private session, you know, that's just how it is. But if you have something that isn't necessarily private, like chronic pain that you want to share and it's important for you to get treated, then that's a community session, you know. Community acupuncture has its limitations for sure. I'm not here to say like it's the answer for everything. So membership for acupuncture allowed in California, obviously because you're doing it, but how do you get around the prepaid? We'll go into that in the pricing, charting for large volume of patients. Yes. These are mainly about concerns that you guys have. Is there a minimum population base? I don't think so. I mean, one, no, just kidding. No, I mean, I'm sure that's something you could research, but there's 45,000 people where I live. There's probably like 8 other acupuncturists that practice one-on-one. I'm the only community clinic. I'm plenty busy. Any cupping or body work? Nope. So this is mainly about concerns that you guys have, how to deal with loud people or people who keep asking for more needles or attention. Yeah, these are all issues. It all comes up. I mean, with loud people, ask them to be quiet. People are asking for more needles or attention, then that's a private session. You know, having boundaries is essential in a community clinic because volume of people. So you're going to have, let's say you got 150 people a week now. So how many of those people are going to be trying to push your boundaries, right? Versus if you're seeing 30 people a week, right? The odds are you're going to have more people that are trying to push your boundaries and needy. With that being said, community acupuncture does have a way of attracting a certain type of person that is always looking for a discount and always looking for more, you know? So you need to go into this knowing that, right? The same way you have a high price point acupuncture offering, who's that going to attract? That's going to attract somebody who has a lot of money and, you know, is going to expect a lot, right? Or whatever comes with that, right? So yeah, where did you get the gorgeous lounge chairs? We'll get into that. Okay, so those are fair concerns. I'm sure some of you share some of my concerns. How can I make money and how can I give good treatments, right? What is your passion? That's the important thing to ask. You guys have a lot of concerns and a lot of questions. I mean, not questions, you do have questions, but you have a lot of concerns, right? Like, how can I be private? How can I do this? Ultimately, there's going to be roadblocks along the way, okay? Nothing is perfect, and you're reinventing the wheel a little bit of how you're used to practice and how the public is used to receiving acupuncture as well, okay? What's most important is you need to understand, or you need to really get in touch with, like, do you want to do this? You know, are you passionate about this? If it's yes, then you will find a way, right? And I strongly believe if you feel passionate about this and it's something you want to do, that you should do it. And you're going to make money at it if you feel passionate about it, okay? If you're not passionate about it, you're not quite sure, you just want to give it a shot, you're not, you know, then you're going to find roadblocks along the way, and you're not going to make a living. You're not going to make a good living because the energy that you are projecting around the work that you're doing is going to block you from receiving, okay? Okay, so first thing I want to do is we're going to listen to the podcast now. So I'm going to put that on, and then we're going to do a limiting belief workshop. So I'm going to go ahead and do some tech stuff here so I can share the audio. The audio is about 28 minutes long. So if you want to put your earbuds in, you want to go for a little walk, you want to grab a coffee, you want to go to the bathroom, just go and give it a listen. Some of the key things that we're going to be talking about in the podcast, it's with Michelle Grassick. She owns the acupuncture marketing school. She's amazing. She also has a podcast where she has a lot of acupuncture. So it's a great thing to listen to. I love it. But she was generous enough to invite me on her podcast where we talked about a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today. But some of the key takeaways is how I got from A to Chi. I love to say it. How I got from A to Chi with the community acupuncture, how I treat patients as an introvert, and what else do we talk about? Some other good gems there too. So I'm going to go ahead and share my audio. We're going to give that a listen. If you guys have questions, I'll have the chat up. I'm here, and we'll go from there. Okay.